Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So we're going to be going over a few different stories in today's video. The first one being whether or not a new $50 federal minimum wage could be a new reality. Well, we actually have one possible future lawmaker suggesting that, so we're going to be going over that proposal. Plus, a senator in Florida, and Marco Rubio, just released a shocking statistic involving the payments for Social Security beneficiaries and comparing those to what refugees are receiving. So we'll be going over that as well. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $9,000 in free stocks or $9,000 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Webull. All you have to do is once you click on that link, is just sign up for a free account and then deposit just at least 1 penny. At that point, Webull will be sending you at least 3 free stocks worth, once again, all the way up to $9,000. And if you'd rather just have the cash right now instead of the stocks, all you have to do is once you receive the stocks, is just sell them for what they're worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into our lead story of today's video, and this is going to be a very sad, a very tragic one, and that is that the Kansas City Chiefs had their Super Bowl parade. They won back-to-back Super Bowls, so everyone in the city was very happy. It was a great day for Kansas Cityans until, we had at least probably 1, 2, 3, possibly even more people that just had to go out of their way to just run the day for everyone, decide to bring a gun and decide to do yet another mass shooting for whatever reason. And at this point, it's going to be, we're getting to the point in society where a lot of families are just going to be afraid to go to these events that should be, a lot of fun for everyone, families, children. And now people, quite frankly, are just going to be scared of going out in public because, you just have one experience like this and you're going to be afraid to even go to the grocery store or just anywhere out in public in fear that there's going to be some complete maniac that's going to decide just to wreck everyone else's day because they don't have anything else going on in their life that they have to bring a gun and kill as many people as possible. And, it really has me asking you one question, whether or not we should bring back the death penalty nationwide. Because for someone who, like yesterday, decides to go to this parade in Kansas City and try to shoot as many people as they can, whether it be, older people or even children, should they really even get to lay in a comfortable bed in their prison cell and be given free food for the rest of their life, or should they just be killed on the spot without any type of trial if there's this much overwhelming evidence that they are indeed guilty of the crime? But we're just going to go over to this article here by The Hill. It says that one person was killed and at least 20 others, including several children, were injured when gunfire broke out after the team's victory parade near Union Station. By the way, the FBI is still asking the public for tips and videos of the Super Bowl parade shooting, so they're hoping to find anyone else involved. 3 people have been detained in connection with the shooting, so that's obviously good news there, that at least 3 people have already been detained. Not sure whether or not there's been more. And firearms were recovered. Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves said in an update on the situation on Wednesday, no suspects have been publicly identified and authorities have not given details about a possible motive. Videos and images from the chaotic scene quickly spread across social media platforms after the shooting broke out, showing fans in red Chiefs gear fleeing from the gunfire and a massive law enforcement response. More than 800 law enforcement officers and at least 1 million fans were estimated to be present at the event, celebrating the NFL's team's back-to-back championships. Again, this is absolutely terrible behavior in our society, getting to the point where this is almost becoming normalized is completely ridiculous. Do you have a solution to this, to all these mass shootings that are taking place? Do you believe that there needs to be more gun control? Or do you believe that our culture just needs to change where this is not becoming normalized? Now, in some other news, yesterday we actually had one possible future lawmaker trying to run for a U.S. Senate seat, saying that not only do we need a $15 federal minimum wage, we actually need to increase that by $35 more, all the way up to $50, a $50 federal minimum wage. So we're going to be covering this article right now. So Democratic Representative Barbara Lee calls for $50 minimum wage in California. So in the race to fill the vacant seat once held late Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democratic Representative Barbara Lee has sparked controversy with her proposal for a striking increase in the federal minimum wage to $50 per hour, more than 6 times the current federal rate. Ms. Lee, who is vying for the Senate seat in a competitive primary that includes Democratic Representatives Adam Schiff and Katie Porter, as well as Republican Steve Garvey, argues that the state's cost of living crisis makes it implausible for residents to sustain on salaries less than $100,000 annually. She said, just do the math. In the Bay Area, I believe it was the United Way that came out with a report that very recently, $127,000 for a family of 4 is just barely enough to get by. Another survey very recently found that $104,000 for a family of 1, barely enough to get by. And although that might be quite frankly the truth, $100,000 in California probably is not going to be enough to get by. Well, that's why a lot of people just have to pack up and move to a lower cost of living state. That's why we saw U-Haul, running out of vehicles to move in the state of California, because so many people were fleeing the state. Not only is the cost of living rising, the state taxes are so high there, it just doesn't make sense. And what they do with all the taxes isn't really exactly making the most sense either. The homeless crisis is out of control there. There's a lot of drug problems. The crime rate is skyrocketing. So people in California just aren't too happy with their government there, and that's why they are fleeing the state to lower cost of living states like Nevada, Arizona, Texas, and even Florida. So, perhaps instead of raising the minimum wage up to $50 per hour, people, probably just going to end up leaving the state. And let's say, for an example, let's say if they even did raise the federal minimum wage up to $50 per hour, which quite frankly, there's almost no way they're going to be able to pass that through Congress. But even if they did, what would end up happening in that case? Well, we'd probably have a lot of small businesses shutting down, or at least they would be firing their employees, because no small businesses that is barely scraping by right now is going to be able to pay like a high schooler $50 per hour. It's just not going to be possible for them to do that. And then for the larger retailers, let's say like Target, Walmart, Amazon, what's more than likely going to happen there is they're probably already paying their higher level employees $50 or possibly even more dollars per hour, but their lower level employees like the warehouse workers at Amazon, for example, they're probably just going to get laid off and replaced with robots. And then what's going to end up happening is that our unemployment rate is just going to go through the roof. They're going to have, millions of Americans every single week more and more dependent on government welfare, and eventually we're just going to run out of funds and the whole economy is going to crash. So this $50 per hour proposal is just ridiculous. And even if it were to happen, we definitely see a lot of inflation taking place. Like, for example, if Walmart had to pay their employees $50 per hour, you don't think that they'd be raising the price of beef just to make up for that, or anything else in their store? Yeah, absolutely. So you might be making $50 per hour, but you're also going to be paying a lot more for your goods and services as well. And we're going to be right back at square one, where whatever you're making then at $50 per hour is not going to be enough to get by in the state of California either. So just a crazy proposal. I'm not even sure if she's being serious about it or if she's just trying to catch headlines. Obviously, $50 per hour is never going to happen, but let me know what your thoughts and comments are below. Do you believe that we should be increasing the federal minimum wage, and what do you believe it should be increased up to? And then our final story of today's video, we have a U.S. Senator in the state of Florida by the name of Marco Rubio. And just the other day, well, I guess over the past few years, he's actually been kind of campaigning on this, that we have, millions of Social Security beneficiaries every single year finally retiring after, let's say, like 35, 40 years of work. And they might only be receiving like a measly monthly payment of, let's say, like $1,500. Some even less than that, and right on average, it's right around $1,900 this year. Yet we have immigrants coming into this country who are claiming that they are refugees, that they are running from their country, whether it be like Cuba or Venezuela. And because of this, they're actually eligible for refugee payments. And some of these people are receiving $1,500. Some people actually well over $2,000 per month in cash assistance, whether it be from, free health insurance for their children and family, whether it be food stamps, Medicaid, just cash payments from the refugee fund. And Marco Rubio is saying it's not really all that fair that someone who came to America or even was born in America, worked here very hard for 35 to 40 years, and is only receiving, let's say, like $1,500 from Social Security retirement? Yeah, we have like maybe someone in their 20s fleeing the country of Cuba, making the exact same amount or even more than someone receiving Social Security benefits, and this person may not even have a job. So we're going to go ahead and play this video by Marco Rubio, and then we're going to come back to briefly talk about it.
One of the things I see a lot in South Florida are people that have been in this country that maybe came from Cuba 45 years ago. They've worked here their entire lives. They retire. They get $800, $900, $1,000 a month from Social Security. And then they run into somebody who just got here from Cuba 3 months ago, is 29 years old, doesn't work, and is given $1,500 a month in benefits by our government because they're refugees. That refugee, a year later, is traveling back to Cuba 15 times. So you're a refugee fleeing oppression from a place that you now go back and visit 15 times the following year. And in the meantime, we're giving you Medicaid, food stamps, health care for your children, cash payments from the refugee fund. So imagine if you've been working here for 40 years and your Social Security check is smaller than the benefits going to a 28-year-old able-bodied person who just got here. That's real. That happens. That's happening every day. That makes no sense.
So leave your thoughts in comments below. Do you believe that refugees should be receiving as much and possibly even more than certain Social Security beneficiaries are? At least in my opinion, I think that maybe if refugees are receiving money and they are, a clear indication of someone who is fleeing their country and they're very much in danger, perhaps being killed by in their country for whatever reason, and perhaps if they don't have a job, maybe for the payments that they're receiving from the government, they should have some type of, job, whether that be cleaning trash up on the side of the highway or some other type of government job that they can do in the meantime while they search some other form of work. That way they don't have to be relying on these payments from the government. But let me know what your thoughts and comments are below. Would definitely love to read them. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. And I will see you in the next video.